I'd like to call the Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025 Board of Public Works and Safety meeting to order. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Jeff Batchelor.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public comments. I do not have any public comment in front of me.
Nothing yet online, but
I do not have any public comment that has been filed on paperwork in front. Ms. Young, would you like to fill out a public comment card?
Can I postpone it,
Yes, ma'am.
please?
Sure. Please work with Mr. Batchelor in the meantime. Thank you. Clerk Treasurer, claims approval.
We have civil city payroll in the amount of $569,431.
Mike,
It's on. And 569,431.64 for civil city payroll. I can get louder.
there you go. Do I have a motion?
I'm a mom.
Move we approve the civil city payroll.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Just ask my son, who I saw riding his bike in the street last night after the council meeting.
Oh.
Trouble. Civil city claims in the amount of $1,435,214.
I move we approve the civil city claims.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Water claims in the amount of $84,815.79.
I move we approve the water claims.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
And sewage claims in the amount of $156,888.56.
I move we approve the sewage claims.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
May I add a couple things to the agenda?
You may.
Thank you. First, in front of you, you should have an invoice from our cleaning services at City Hall. Our cleaning person had a medical emergency and wasn't able to turn her invoice in, but we would like to get her paid still today. So I'm asking for approval, as this invoice didn't make it on the claims docket, to pay Linda Ensign in the amount of $525 for the previous 2 weeks of services.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
And discussion, and that, Ms. Parthune, is, you have that item, the actual item?
Yeah.
Mr. Koshy, there it is, right here.
Oh, I'm sorry, I put it in there, I don't know.
Oh, it may have gotten, yeah, that's okay, all right.
Okay, sorry, I have that either.
Linda does a great job for the city, and this will help her, so.
Grateful for her.
With that, a motion?
There's been a motion and a
I think
second.
we already have.
You do
motions.
have a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. We have, and I don't know, I'm sorry, these should be in your packet, I don't know what order they're in. We have a Baker Tilly analysis for a possible 2025 debt issuance. So I'm asking for board approval for that engagement letter, I guess is what it is. Nothing is set in stone, they're just running some numbers for us to look at. And I don't know if the mayor wants to touch on this at all.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion is, this is just with the changes that have come through during this past legislative session. We just want to, for any improvements that are made to any city property, we want to make sure that, or new construction, we want to make sure that we have updated information from Baker Tilly.
I think that's a good idea.
And this would be really any debt here would be the first potential property tax
Correct.
debt that's been put on in 5 years.
The other, nothing new, haven't done anything new since, your administration, Mayor, but we did refund a 2012 GO bond.
For about savings of
About 200, yeah.
$250,000
Yeah.
to residents. Questions?
You do have a motion and a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And then finally, we have an enterprise fleet management, several different documents regarding that program. I'm going to let Nathaniel Berg from Enterprise kind of go over that with you all. He would have been here in person today, but his wife is due to have her baby today, so
Oh,
thanks, Nate, for joining us.
Nate, you're not
Absolutely.
alone, though,
Yeah,
because
no,
again,
okay,
Baker
yeah,
Tilly,
still
we didn't have an
waiting, but-
individual here today because that individual, his wife is due today.
wow,
so-
popular time, 9 months
Nate, if you have to
prior.
run, we know why.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
I think he's frozen.
Oh,
He's just that excited.
Nate, would you like to begin?
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, just to kind of go over the documents in front of you. So, what Enterprise offers to municipalities is a fleet management partnership, which puts a proactive, strategic approach to operating fleets across municipalities. That is police. That is
Nate, hold on
administrative
one
vehicles.
moment. Can we
Yep.
increase the volume?
I think Roscoe said, let's try that.
Nate, go ahead.
Perfect. So, again, Enterprise puts a proactive and strategic approach on fleet management for municipalities across the country. A little bit of backstory about Indiana specifically, we're currently partnered with about 46 municipalities. To name a few, County of St. Joe, Howard County, Noble County, Cass County, City of Lebanon, Noblesville, Zionsville, Danville. So just to throw a few names out there, I know Mayor Gentry from Lebanon, acted as a referral for Mayor Dermody. So there is quite a presence in Indiana across the fleet management program that we do have. For the city of LaPorte specifically, Tom and I were discussing and looking at how we could assist. It was mainly with the police department and at right sizing the police department, being a resource for Drangmeister, and then as well as putting a proactive approach on the fleet for the rest of the city. So what that looks like is Courtney, Tom, and I would sit down traditionally once every quarter and see what are the needs of the city, how can Enterprise be an asset to the city, and what can we do to help you drive down costs across your assets in the city and in the city's budget. So on the second hand, what this looks like is we help administrate the city's maintenance moving forward across the fleet. Courtney's already partnered with WEX to help oversee and micromanage the fuel purchases and fuel transactions across the city, which we will also be a part of. WEX is also our fuel partner, so we can help kind of mitigate those costs, as well as other things like risk management, vehicle tracking, vehicle safety, things like that, all that fall under our program. So ultimately what's in front of you is an approval of the partnership that the city of LaPorte and Enterprise want to partner together in this endeavor regarding fleet management. Any specific line items, purchases, approvals would come across separate. The only thing we've looked at right now and really committed to is a handful of vehicles that Chief Drangmeister needs due to recent accidents in the police department. Everything else would be analyzed and discussed for purchase to fall in the 2026 budget.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So I think if we could have two votes, and we haven't gone over the police quotes yet, but we would like to present those today. So the first vote would be for the actual enterprise partnership.
Do I have a motion to approve the agreement?
How long is the partnership for?
However long that we want to be partnered. The program itself, and Nate can speak better to this, where we would see savings would be years 5 through 10. Well, I think we'll see savings the full amount of time, but where we'll see the real savings, because enterprise can sell our fleet, when we have finished utilizing it, whatever that may be, 100,000 miles, whatever that may be.
After the useful life?
Yes, they can sell it retail. They are
Yeah, I
with the
can go through
state's
high-level
QPA, so they have capabilities that we just don't have at our local level.
Absolutely. So to run through the program and to kind of answer your question, the partnership is as long as you want it to be. A lot of our partners, municipalities, have been with us for over a decade. County of St. Joe has been with us almost 14 years. But what that looks like is your commitment to the partnership is the leases that we put in place for the city and the city's departments. So if you sign, let's say, a Dodge Durango, which is going to be the second vote for the police department, that would be a 5-year lease, and your only commitment is to that lease. There is no early termination penalty. There is no buyout penalty. There is no buyout clause. We act in the best of faith, especially with our municipality partners, to make sure that we're doing right by you. Now, in the term of where the savings is going to come from, to try and piggyback off of Courtney, a lot of different places. So to start, we will buy at the state's price. So we're going to buy vehicles at the same exact price that you can buy them from, or potentially slightly cheaper depending on how government incentives fall. We're going to put those on an open-ended lease structure, which is going to help you mitigate cost and cash flow. So what that looks like is I take a vehicle, I depreciate it at 1.3 or 1.4% over 60 months. And then to Courtney's point, I can sell it direct to consumer because I'm legally the title holder. So where government vehicles have to go through auction because they're owned by the government, I can hold title and sell direct to consumer. So I'm going to sell vehicles for 2 to 3 times more than what you would sell them for traditionally in an auction setting. Throughout the life cycle of every vehicle, we're also managing the maintenance, we're managing the fuel, we're micromanaging every penny that's spent on every vehicle across the city, and we're putting all of that data in Courtney and Tom's hands to help them make better decisions. So if we see a vehicle, for example, that 60,000, 70,000 miles, it's blown a transmission, we're going to see that. That's going to create a red alert for us, and we're going to approach it proactively and say, hey, it's not worth a transmission. If we fix it, here's what it's worth. If we sell it today and replace it, here's what it's worth. Here's what the cash flow looks like over the next 4 years on that replacement. So ultimately, it's more of a financial consulting, proactive approach to running the fleet for the city of LaPorte.
And I think the biggest part is our departments won't be individually going out, getting this work done, that work. The maintenance program will be run by enterprise. They will negotiate the rates. They will tell our departments where to go for that service, even in addition to the vehicle purchases or leases that we will do. So he's a professional. He does it every day, and that's going to be his focus. So I do have a motion and a second. Further comment?
So, is he? No.
And it's
I can
just
hear
a
you.
delay?
Oh, gotcha. Okay, all right. So quick question here, or I got a couple questions. So in terms of like the first thing we'd vote on is the agreement, which doesn't have a cash value associated with, right? It's just the engagement, right? The partnership, okay. And so that piece of it is as long as we want it to be, which means if we choose, say, well, for whatever reason this isn't working, we can get out of the contract.
Correct.
And then probably they just assume the vehicle from us, right?
Or we write out the lease until we're,
Oh, so
yeah,
that's
I
still
mean,
an
yeah,
option?
yeah.
Okay, got it,
yeah.
okay. And then, so where the savings come in for us is, just I'm kind of making sure I've got this correct, right? So the savings for us is that they're able to purchase the vehicle at state cost, and then when we've used the vehicle to the extent with which we're going to use the vehicle, then they're able to sell it at more of like a retail price
Correct.
versus a wholesale or an auction. So there's a bigger net difference.
Correct, yes.
So that's where I assume Enterprise has their, I mean, they're in this for, also for, profit, right? So that's where they have their piece, that change or that difference is much greater, so that they can have a piece of it, and then we have a greater piece of it.
And then we
kind
can.
of all along, right?
And
too.
we can turn around and lower our annual lease costs because of the sale of the retail price, yeah, correct.
Okay.
But we'll also be saving annually, as I understand it, because of maintenance, fuel cost.
And there's a
Risk
cost to
safety.
time. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for Matt Drangmeister, but we have a police officer that handles their fleet. And I've heard him personally talk about how long it takes to do title, registration, all of the insurance claims that happen because of, pursuits or whatever happens. He's the one handling all of that. It takes up his time, the admin assistant's time, the chief's time. All of that will be handled by Enterprise moving forward. Any insurance claims that we have from any department, all of that goes through
Enterprise.
Enterprise, correct.
Right?
In addition, the upfitting part of it as well. So we also in-house upfit our vehicles, which, we have to compensate usually by comp hours, which means less time on the road. In addition, like Courtney was saying, all the BMV stuff, and that's a headache, and Nate's probably got a better grip on things than what one of our guys does, so we're actually battling a headache as of recent where they click something they shouldn't have downstate. So, yeah, it'd be man-hour savings.
We want those officers want them on the road, not in the back of some maintenance building. And that's the other part of this. We are also looking to do much more work in-house versus sending it out. So we're going to be evaluating the mechanic program that we have here in the city so that the officers can bring in-house oil changes, so forth, to save some money as well.
Enterprise will also be able to tell us, dependent on the department or the job, what the best vehicle is for our fleet. While that's currently been kind of done by actual departments, we'll have, the professionals can tell us, okay, for, code enforcement, for this many miles a year, these are the vehicles that make the most sense at the best cost for your situation. So it's just a really, neat centralized way of doing things. And we're excited to really save a lot of money on probably the most on the repairs and maintenance side. Yeah.
So I do have, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so this is primarily for the police department, because that's where the vast majority of the fleet is, but this is all encompassing of
It's
all
all
city-
encompassing, yeah. The
Correct.
police obviously have the most, the most vehicles in our fleet, but, but it's a citywide program. And the only thing that Enterprise can't touch is like the heavy duty, don't ask me
Dump
about this
trucks.
stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not
class
good at this
7,
part,
class
but-
8, like massive salt trucks, triaxle trucks, fire trucks and ambulances. I can't do those, but I can do everything else.
So with that, further questions?
One last question. When, in the municipalities, Nate, that you've dealt with, what have you seen in terms of issues that they've had with these types of partnerships?
Absolutely. So a lot of it is just the change ultimately, and the fear of change, and not necessarily from the decision makers or from the people in that room, but from the department heads that don't understand it, or from the department heads that they want to go out and buy a truck that they like, or this truck or that truck, right? And I'm coming in and telling them that it doesn't make financial sense. So ultimately, the people within the municipality don't like the change until they see it come to fruition after the first year or so. So once you see a cycle, once you see the benefit of selling vehicles, once you see, hey, here's our maintenance savings over the last 6 months compared to last year, that's when people are like, okay, this makes sense, I get it now. But ultimately, at first, it's the micromanagement they don't like, that not that we are micromanaging, but that we're putting into the hands of Courtney or Tom the data to help kind of back into the decisions and validate those decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in fleet from the user perspective for decades, so I see kind of, that difference, right? Sometimes you may want to do this with the vehicle or take it to this. You have some limit and some freedom there, but overall, the benefit and the cost savings and the efficiency, and as you mentioned, Courtney, the just knowing which vehicles are, most efficient, most cost-effective, useful. But I think the other piece of it is really the time savings for the department. I mean, I think that's really exciting to see that more officers will be able to engage more in, public safety versus worrying about fixing an axle on a vehicle or drivetrain. I forgot what he mentioned, transmission, whatever it was, yeah, so.
So I do have a motion and a second. Further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And now the second portion of the agreement.
So that's the actual quote for the police vehicles, and then also for the upfitting of the police vehicles. So the upfitting has the red at the top, board members, and then the actual quote is about 6 pages. And I'll let Nate speak to that as well.
Absolutely. Let me pull up my copy of that so that we can go through it together.
So, and this is basically be kind of putting our toe in the water with one vehicle to start,
I think
right?
it's
Or is it-
two.
Is it two? Oh, I couldn't.
Vehicles.
Okay.
Sorry, I have no mic. We just had well, it was going to be one vehicle, a pool car, and then we had an unfortunate accident with one of the police vehicles. That's a current lease at another local dealership. So we're going to get our feet wet, start it with two vehicles, I believe, and you've got that cost information in front of you and the upfitting information in front of you.
And it'll be one
Yes.
pool car, one car for a new officer.
Yeah, that's correct. And also, and I believe, Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, with the equipment inside the car, the light bars and stuff like that, once it's back, you resell those. That can be correct?
Yes. Yep. So on the resale side, we can either take that equipment and transfer it over to the second vehicle to save money there versus replacing the equipment. We will strip the equipment. We will strip the graphics before we sell it. All of that is included in the resale side of the partnership.
So the official cost, Nate, of these two new vehicles is,
I can go through the quote with you all together. I want to start on the third page of the quote. Page 3 has the vehicle specs and vehicle price. So we'll start there. You can see at the top, 2025 Dodge Durango Pursuit, 4-door, all-wheel drive. The invoice cost is on the left, the MSRP is on the right. So those are the invoices direct from the manufacturer, and you can see the various specs, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are just the specs on that invoice. That is invoice cost before bid assistance or government incentives. So that is not the state's price, that is the invoice price. The true state price on this vehicle is $45,500. So that is the invoice cost of the vehicle minus the state's bid assistance. Now, if you go up to page 2, you will see the aftermarket cost. That aftermarket cost is originally what I had estimated in aftermarket for the vehicle. We actually got the quote back yesterday, and it came in just around $9,000. So the aftermarket came in cheaper than what we had originally estimated or quoted. And then going back to page 1, so capitalized price of the vehicle is going to be the delivered price plus the aftermarket. Again, that aftermarket came in cheaper, so it's going to be closer to around 55 instead of 58. Initial license and title fee, that is a direct pass-through from the state. So whatever we pay the state to title the vehicle, register the vehicle, that's passed through to you. I believe that number currently is automatically generated. Obviously, being a municipality, a government agency, that's going to be significantly cheaper, if not zero. The capitalized price reduction, originally you had to put half down of the aftermarket. Because the aftermarket is under $10,000, that's no longer a thing. So you don't have to put anything down on the aftermarket at this point because it came in under the $10,000 threshold. Finally, down to the total monthly rental excluding services, $1045.12 is the monthly cost of the pursuit vehicles. So your monthly payment would be that $1045.12. Again, it came in cheaper when I got the final quote back last night from En Route, the upfitter. So it should be closer to $1020, $1025 when I get it updated.
So with that, do I have a motion to approve these two vehicles?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
So, Mayor, just a question for you with, so we obviously had great relationships locally in terms of prior leases. Like, do you see any downside there?
No, I think having worked with many throughout the first 5 years, it's going to be nice and efficient to have one person, one company work for all of it. So we can just manage, the clerk treasurer and I can just help manage that and follow along.
And not only are the vehicles purchased at the state's price, the repairs and maintenance are only allowable at the state's price. So whereas we might be paying $60 currently for an oil change, we get to piggyback off of their state's contract and get, go where they tell us to go and get a $30, $35 oil change. So, I mean, there's just benefit to having a centralized fleet management program. It's across the board.
Because we don't have one individual that can go around to four different oil change places and say, hey, what's your best price? Negotiate it, and right now we'll send everybody there. So, yeah, I think it's, and they will work with many local retail locations to do that work. So it's not like we're taking it outside the city, but they'll be able to negotiate the deal and send our vehicles right there.
On our behalf. Okay, all right.
I'll also point out the key separation between what you're doing today through dealership leases and our lease structure, and I think that's important. A traditional net lease through a local dealer, monthly payment-wise, is cheaper, right? We can get out in front of that you would pay less monthly on a net lease through the local dealership, and that's historically what other people had done, and that's what other municipalities had done. The downside to a net lease is that you have wear and tear restrictions, you have mileage restrictions, and the key benefit to the dealership is that when you turn that vehicle in, they're taking the benefit of resale. You get no value in turning it in and selling that vehicle, no matter what the mileage looks like, no matter what the condition looks like. The dealership is taking advantage on the resale side, and that's where they're making their money. Where ours is different is that it's your vehicle. There are no restrictions. There's no mileage penalty. There's no wear and tear fee. We know these are in the field. They're going to get beat up. They're going to get dented and dinged. On the backside of that, you also get the full benefit of resale. So when we compare the true net effective cost of buy it, put it on a 5-year leasing structure, and then sell it and put that money back into the budget, compared to what you're doing today, paying net leases through the local dealership, mine is cheaper, net effective cost, long-term strategy-wise. Because again, you're taking that resale and you're rolling it into the next vehicle, you're rolling it back into the budget, you're using that resale to offset your cost for years to come. And that's not something you have through a net lease structure at a dealer.
Further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. While we have you, Clerk Treasurer Parthun, would you like to continue on with the WEX card fuel?
I don't know, Andrea worked on that policy, so that's an actual fuel policy, I mean specifically for the WEX cards, but I'll let Andrea speak to that, our Director of HR. She's
morning, Board
great at
members.
policy writing.
Welcome.
Andrea Smith, HR Director. We have a fuel card agreement for the WEX card, specifically for any employees that are using that card and have it drive a city vehicle. Let me go through a few specifics on it. Our department heads, we talked it through with them yesterday. We had some questions yesterday afternoon, and we seem to have answered everything sufficiently for them. The City of LaPorte's fuel card is a credit card that is designed to enable authorized City of LaPorte employees to make fuel purchases for vehicles and equipment used for official city business only. All city drivers who have a WEX card are required to record accurate odometer meter readings of the vehicle at any time of the fuel purchase. Chief Snyder went and did a test crash dummy thing for us to make sure it worked. And on that receipt, the odometer reading did come out. Whether this is done through an automated fuel dispensing equipment system or manually at the fuel sites, entries must be accurate. Odometer readings must be recorded on each fuel purchase where mileage is not obtained by automated processes. Some of the procedures to be followed are when purchasing fuel from either a city-operated or a participating retail fuel site, verify that the vendor is a WEX participant in the network. There on the gas pump, there is, it says WEX very clearly. You will be able to see that. Also with the login, you are able to do searches and find out stations that host WEX in the closest one to you. Participating vendors can be identified by displaying an image of the WEX card. Follow the procedures that are applied to the site and enter the correct information as you are prompted. Purchase regular grade or diesel only. The purchase of mid-grade or premium unleaded gasoline is strictly prohibited unless specifically required by the manufacturer. So our employees know that as well. Prohibited purchase include personal purchases of any kind, cash advances, gift cards, lottery tickets, alcoholic beverages or tobacco and vape products, miscellaneous items such as food, sundries, or personal items as well. City employees must beware there is a zero tolerance for fraudulent use of the WEX card. Any suspected fraudulent use will be investigated by law enforcement.
Can I add that WEX cards give you the capability to get your vehicle serviced? Since we're working with Enterprise, that's the route we want to go. These are fuel-only cards, so there should be no capability to buy anything other than fuel. Chief Snyder and Assistant Chief Burke were our test guinea pigs, I guess, for this. Did you use your card? Okay, so and I've heard it's simple. I hope it's simple. I know that we've had some challenges with our current provider, and there is the possibility that moving with Enterprise, we will have to reissue cards again, which will be interesting, but that's okay. We want to make sure that we are getting fuel at the best cost for the city, and be able to use that data to our advantage for decision making. So collecting receipts, making sure the receipts match the invoices, just internal controls. It gives us a greater ability to just have internal controls and fuel at the best prices. So we're excited for this. I know that a lot of the departments have been waiting for it. And I don't know if there's anything else that the mayor wants to add.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, further discussion. I just want to acknowledge the great work the two of you did to get us through this system and the patience, especially with our police department. It's been a long wait, so thank you. Any other comments?
I also have a manual fuel log in the event the pump malfunctions. So you will be able to go back and write it down.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Department head reports. Tim Werner, Water.
Thank you, and good morning to the board. This morning, I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware we will be closing and doing line shifts on Lincoln Way right across from CVS. We've had a leak, service line leak there. We took advantage of doing those bores that we talked about a couple weeks ago on 8th Street by the high school. We were going to wait till after school let out to do that, but we took advantage of some savings, having the company come in, and instead of quoting us each one of those bores, they just gave us a one-day price. So we're taking advantage of that. So the crew is out there this morning. On my way to Board of Works this morning, the lane closure had started already. So I just want to make the public aware of that and just use some caution. We will be in the road and on the side of the road there. Crews will be out painting hydrants on Lincoln Way before the 4th of July parade and all the main arteries coming into town, just to make sure everything's looking nice for the 4th. And we also took advantage of a program and got some the flag markers that we put on the hydrants, some American flag markers for Lincoln Way also. So yeah, it'll look nice up there. And those also help the fire department when there's snow. That way, if there's snow piled around the hydrant, they can still see that flag. So that's all I had this morning.
And I know Assistant Chief Burke had asked if they could be painted orange, and I told him as much as we want that, you are going to paint them yellow.
The flags will be orange. They are, all the flags are orange. But the hydrants stay yellow, yes, sir.
Jerry Jackson, wastewater.
We've been meeting with Kokosing to get the Headworks GSC contract hammered out. We've been meeting with Kokosing to get the GSC Headworks contract hammered out. Conceivably, at the next Board of Works meeting, we'll have the contract there for the Board of Works to take a look at.
Nick Minnick, engineering.
No report today, thank you.
Clerk treasurer,
I think I've,
done it.
yeah,
Legal,
I think I've handled it.
code enforcement.
Yeah, we've been dealing with yards that are overgrown because it's real easy to tell the ones that ain't being taken care of, properties that aren't being taken care of. And then this Saturday is the dumpster program. It's going to be open so people can use the dumpster. When we do that on Friday in the afternoon, we usually close the dumpster so nobody can get in there, so that there's space on Saturday for people to get in there and do that, because we've had a lot of complaints about it being closed on Friday. So that's the reason why we close it on Friday.
Thank you. Chief Drangmeister,
Nothing.
Chief Snyder,
No report.
IT.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kozier, Ms. Romine. Just a heads up that we had talked about this sometime before. There's some updates that we're doing to our computers. One of the big updates that we're planning on doing is to make sure we're ready. October, Microsoft is suspending their support for Windows 10. So to prepare for Windows 11, we're trying to make sure all our devices are up to date. So I'll be going through the city, each department, trying to coordinate with each department at a time where we can tackle each device to make sure that first we're up to date, and then number two, to prepare for Windows 11. And if there are devices that are not able to move forward to Windows 11, that we know ahead of time, those devices. So then we're not waiting to try and scramble to the end of the year to find a device. We know ahead of time how many devices may or may not need to be replaced at the end.
Bert Cook. No report. Parks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
With June here, I just want to remind everybody the first city band concert is Wednesday at 7 o'clock at the Fox Park Amphitheater. Arts in the Park also starts this week. I believe they have the Remedy Band as the first headliner. That's on Thursday evening. They start off at 6 o'clock. We've got some events coming up this weekend. The Northwest Indiana Paddling Association has the Chain of Lakes Kayak Paddle Saturday, June 7th out at Stone Lake Beach. And the United Way has their pickleball fundraiser tournament out at Kessling Park on Saturday as well. And then Saturday, June 14th, we have a first-time skate competition and concert at the amphitheater. All that information can be found on our Facebook page. We're also have the beach will be open for the rest of the summer. We've been open a couple weekends, but with the kids getting out of school on Wednesday, we'll be open Thursday through early August. We'll be also doing repairs and seal coating the parking lots at the beach house in Cummings Lodge. So we apologize for any inconvenience as beach season kicks off, but it's also construction season. So we'll be repairing the lot. So thank you very much.
Craig Phillips, planning.
Nothing to report.
Jess Bruder, Spoljaric, communications. Those department heads that do not have business before this board, go have a great day. Request for use, Friday Night Live, which the first one, despite questionable weather and country, our first country, it turned out to be a good event.
So that's what this is about. It's, I neglected to request that we close the section of Monroe Street that we need closed to do the Friday night events. All the emergency people, were aware of it, but I did neglect to bring it to Board of Works and request that these be closed on Friday, May 31st, which was 3 days ago, Friday, June 20th, and Friday, August 8th. And on the 20th and the 8th, we are also going to be closing a small section of State Street.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Ticket appeal.
I have an appeal of a ticket that was written for a restricted parking, and, sorry, I can't see the ticket. No registration, I apologize. And her appeal states that she was in an accident, she was waiting on her insurance, and took her car in for an appraisal. Then she saw the ticket. The license plate was in her car the entire time, she said, but it just wasn't on the car. So I sent that appeal to the police department, and the response from the police department was that regardless, that it's against the law. Whether, if it's not visible, whether it was in her car or in her house.
So Assistant Chief Ferguson looked into this. The accident occurred March 1st in Michigan City. The fact that she took the plate off, at what point, whether it was after she drove it up to get appraised for the damage or whatever, upon back, you should have your plate affixed to the car, regardless. And obviously it was bad because it was on the city street, which received an ordinance.
Motion to deny.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Conflict of interest disclosures.
We have a conflict of interest disclosure for 2025 for Councilwoman Lauren Huffman, who turned it in. So, I think her husband started a new job, so she's upped it with Howmet Aerospace. There's not a conflict, she's just trying to be transparent. So anyway, just asking for board approval on her updated conflict of interest, which we will get approval from the board, signature from the board, and then we will bring it to the county to file, and then post on Gateway, the state's transparency site.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Sewer easement agreement.
You gonna handle that, Nick, or should I?
Happy to handle it. So this is the sewer easement agreement for, in Newport Landing, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so this already, did it go through the RDC on last Wednesday as well?
They received the bids, and we discussed the easement. I don't know that they approved it. I don't know
Okay.
if they need to. I think they felt the Board of Works was the appropriate body.
Got it, okay, so we're asking for approval, and this is an easement agreement with the dental studio, I believe, correct?
Yep, design. And this would allow us to extend sewer up to the proposed Grand Heritage Credit Union site. It also would provide a future connection to the, northeast, if needed. Not sure that's what the design will be there yet, but it could be needed.
The northeast portion of Newport Landing.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. And I think Dr. Zhang has been supportive of this, so.
She was very helpful in understanding. That was, this came about because the project, the land was subdivided in a different way than originally envisioned, so all of a sudden now there were new sewer taps needed where we didn't think so in the early design. So it amounted to extending a sewer to allow that, the union to be built, the credit union to be built.
Further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Nick Minnick.
Okay, first we have bids for the 2025 CCMG program. This is for both the CCMG program, and we did have a separate division for some miscellaneous paving work. It was published in the paper. We have the affidavit of publication is published on the 20th and 27th, and we will open bids now. We have two bids.
And by the way, just a lot of positive comments about the Waverly paving and a lot of the main streets getting paved.
Good. Thank you. So the first bid, got everything here. First bid is from Milestone Contractors LP. And here's all the typical documents are present. We can do a further review.
With one of those really nice staples.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to write in my contract provisions to not staple these, because the clerk treasurer's office loves these industrial staples.
You just wrestle them, you know?
You just screwdriver.
The amount for Division 1, which is CCMG paving for Stevens Road, is in the amount of $176,771.48. That's 176,771.48. And then Division 2, which is miscellaneous patching, paving, and repairs, is in the amount of $384,750.00. That's 384,750.00.
And just to clarify, the Stevens Road paving will be for the city portion, because legally, we cannot pave the county portion.
Well, we can talk about that later, because we have a similar situation that we're going to work through. So,
Okay, because
yeah, correct. That is
former
correct.
Commissioner Mrzinski had committed that Stevens Road on the county side would be paved. He's no longer in office, so Commissioner Holyfield will have the opportunity to fulfill that
Yeah.
portion of the road.
When the city was working with the school corporation on developing the transit center, land swap with wastewater department, a lot of moving pieces. Initially, there was a plan to have the driveway extend further, and then we kind of committed as a city, well, we can finish that section of Stevens Road that's in the city. It's our last dirt road. Some of our roads maybe seem like they're getting close to that, but we're trying to fix that every day. So, I mean, it's good, we don't have the maintenance equipment to handle this type of thing. We don't deal with dirt roads. So, it's a great project for us. And then in the meantime, as we started to look at needing to do this anyway, we were able to work with the school corporation, who's now developing a training center there for drivers too. So, so this will offer access to that training center as well. I think overall it's great to get rid of a dirt road and have a good partnership between the schools and the city. The second bid, I will just assume this is from Reith Riley. From Reith Riley Construction. Affidavit. All of the required bid documents appear to be present. The bid from Reith Riley Construction is in the amount of $228,654.98. That's 228,654.98
Is that for the Division 1 piece?
for Division 1. Yep. And then for Division 2, bid amount is $503,000, $150. So 503,150.00
And that again is for,
miscellaneous paving.
no, from which company is that one?
This is for Reith
That's Reith
Riley.
Riley.
Sorry. Typically, I want to make sure we are exceeding our timeline requirements for the CCMG grant. Typically, we would award at the next one, but everything looks good from my end. I do want to have an extra review, but I would ask that we at least begin by awarding Division 1 to Milestone. If there are any issues, I can bring it back at the next meeting. That way we can get things rolling and, like I said, keep all of our documents getting to NDOT well before deadlines instead of on deadlines.
Separate question, nothing to do with this. How often does all that paperwork come in as standard besides the bid that you received?
With the package that we've developed over the years, and having two really good paving contractors, they know how to do it. So the packages we receive from them typically are not missing anything. All the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. They do a great job.
I was just saying if we could keep it on file so they don't have to keep providing that. I didn't know if that was an option.
It's okay.
All right.
They got to do something, right?
So you would like to have a motion that would approve the
Division 1.
Division 1, which is Stevens Road.
Stevens Road for $176,771.48 to Milestone Contractors.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved,
Second.
pending additional engineering review.
Comments? And again, to remind that the county had committed to paving the county portion, but also could be where we share in a couple of jobs.
Yeah, and this portion has been, I know, a headache for the wastewater department, who regularly has been kind of helping pay for new gravel and different things, and it'll be really nice to have pavement that can be maintained by the street department, and we don't have to keep having that challenge.
We run trucks on it when we haul our solids to land apply.
And regarding those bid packets, I know it seems like a lot of paperwork and a lot of work, but we all are also audited, so they look for all of this paperwork and make sure that we're following our own policies and the
That's where I
state's
think the
policies and
state could have
procedures.
things on file so they wouldn't have to continue to look for everyone, could use it more efficient. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
The next item I have is exactly what you were talking about. So we have a project. We had applied for Garden Street's been in not great condition. There is some discrepancy. What portion is the city's? What portion is the county's? We had applied for the portion that shows up in our inventory for community crossings, and that's essentially from Waverly to Hidden Oaks Trail. And then the county separately was planning to pave from Hidden Oaks Trail to Orchard. So the entirety of Garden Street was going to be paved. When we started to get our contracts in order and everything, the county said, oh yeah, we're planning to pave too. We looked at the opportunity. The county bid paving work and have a very advantageous cost for that. Now we're receiving 50% from the state for our CCMG, and it's not completely there. It's more like 40% of what we would be paying, but it makes a lot of sense to have one contractor doing the whole road. So I do have an interlocal, and I set it up there, an intergovernmental agreement, and this just basically says that, you know, the county's going to use their paving program. They'll pave that section, and then we'll pay the county, so they'll invoice us for the work actually performed, and then we'll pull it out of our CCMG project. And I think it just from a coordination standpoint, from a quality of product standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to not have an extra paving joint in that street. So that's why we reached out and tried to work with the county to make this happen.
So what portion are we doing? Is our responsibility?
Our responsibility.
Looking at the city limit, it's really confusing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So city limits and city-owned property are on both sides up until almost Hidden Oaks Trail. So the city's inventory, so the centerline miles we receive funds for include Garden Street from Waverly to Hidden Oaks Trail.
Okay.
So and we technically shouldn't legally be paving outside of that, and they shouldn't be paving that section. But with a intergovernmental agreement, it just makes sense, like I said, to work together to have a quality product in the end and not have two paving companies, fighting in the middle of the street.
And you would look to do the same thing for Stevens Road then?
That would be excellent if that's something they would be interested in doing.
Perfect. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. DNR recreational trail easement.
Yeah, the last item I have here, the Stone Lake 2 trail looks wonderful. One of the kind of last items we need to make sure before we get reimbursement is to have an easement recorded on the deed for the property. Our deeds are ancient, so I've got to figure out exactly the right way to get this recorded at the county to attach it to these wonderfully grainy, historic deeds that we actually received from the county.
Done on a ditto machine?
This will require both the mayor and the park board to sign, so I wanted to bring it to the board. It's pretty simple. Just reads, whereas the property herein described was developed for the recreational trails purpose under the state of Indiana's trail program. The intent of the Indiana Trails program is to preserve and develop important recreational trail resources throughout the state of Indiana for the use and enjoyment of the citizens of the state and others. Property developed under the Indiana Trails program will be used solely for recreational trail purposes for the term of no less than 25 years from the date of the recording herein. So essentially saying we have to keep our trail for 25 years, which I've talked to Mark and he doesn't have any issue with keeping the trail for 25 years.
Motion
Whether
to
he's here or
approve.
not.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Jerry Jackson.
Requesting permission to solicit quotes to remove our underground storage tanks, or gas and diesel tanks. 38 years old. They're fiberglass, and we've got leak detection on them, and they've never leaked. But they're single wall, which doesn't meet the current standards. The current standards are double wall. The piping associated with them underground also doesn't meet the standards. So the intent is to use the WEX cards to fuel our vehicles. For a brief time here, we'll have a temporary diesel tank to fuel our generator, because the generator's got to run whenever it needs to run. And then with our Headworks project, the intent is to install a natural gas generator. And then we'll be completely out of the business of storing gasoline and diesel on site, which I think is a good thing. So there's some procedures with removing these tanks. You have to test soils and everything and make sure there was never a leak, and then certification documentation. Nick's done it before, and he's got some documents, so that was my intent, was to glom on Nick's documents and get it done.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So so the impetus to do this now versus later is just that we're right on the cusp of shifting over completely from not needing to have that, right? And
It is, and I get gigged every year when I get inspected, so this would be one less thing for the state of Indiana to be after us for. And now we have a mechanism to fuel the vehicles and a mechanism to replace the generator. So things kind of came together.
All right.
Further comment?
Did you say that it was showing that there's a leak?
No,
There's
they're
not, okay.
not a leak, no.
Okay.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Assistant Chief Burke.
Chief Snyder said that Nick was going to handle this. He has all the...
Thank you, Assistant Chief Burke. That's excellent. I am. With the Fire Training Center, we procured the actual building through Sourcewell. There were some discrepancies in the contract, and we found that It is actually the city's responsibility to pour the concrete floors in the building. That wasn't clear to us at the beginning, and even, recently, it wasn't clear to the company if they were protected enough that they wouldn't have to be paying for it. So the provider of our fire training center building solicited quotes. I think they solicited from 6 different local firms. They started with the firm M5 that did a great job for the foundation. That quote was a little higher than they were comfortable with because they thought they might possibly have to be paying for some of it. So they reached out to more firms. We normally would go through our own process and do our own quotes, but in this time, in order to keep things moving, I think the board also has the ability to to waive some of those requirements to select a firm to get this done. So 2 quotes were received. One was from M5, as I mentioned, in the amount of $37,343. And then the second one was from Hybrid Builders, LLC, which is another newer LaPorte County concrete company. And their bid was in the amount of $28,000. We have the option to not necessarily go around our normal procedure where we would send out the quote request. In this case, I don't build fire training centers daily. That's not something I've done lately. I mean, it's been years, maybe forever. This company does. So they know the questions to ask. They know, what needs to be answered. They do a great job. And again, I think they had some concern that they might be on the hook for the price. So I'm very confident that we got the lowest cost possible. And also being a good partner through our Sourcewell contract, they could charge an 11% fee for change orders, and they could run it through their contract. But they're offering to kind of say, we did some of the legwork. Here's two quotes. This one's good. I'm comfortable with it, so I would ask the board if we can move forward with the quote from Hybrid Builders, LLC, and keep the project moving forward. And there is money available in the budget for this work.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So, Mr. Otis, just from a legal perspective or policy, everything okay with?
Yeah, because it's under
taking this angle?
$50,000, right? So,
Yeah.
of course, you were on the school board too, but 50 to 150 is quotes. 150 and over for the city is you have to bid for this type of work. For schools, it's actually over 300,000, but since it's under 50, you can do your own internal procedures. So,
Which under
we
our
could have done a
ci-
change order. I mean,
Yeah.
a change order would have been totally appropriate, and we would have been stuck with an additional fee on top of that.
Yeah, an extra 11%. So under $50,000, there's it'd be an informal quoting procedure that has less restrictions than the formal quotes at over $50,000. And really, the company that was doing the work here followed all of our typical procedures for an informal quote.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Unfinished business, do not forget, official cruise night is this Saturday from 6 to 8, I believe. And also the veteran brick walk at the park office there at 2 o'clock. Is always a nice, brief ceremony. So with that, any other comments?
Is the audit complete? No.
And so, also, we do have some items tabled that will stay tabled.
Is it staying, is the cornerstone?
I sent
staying?
it to you last night.
Oh, I didn't
Is that
get
what
them,
you're-
so we'll
it's
do it
okay.
next time.
We'll move that for the next
Yep.
meeting.
It's fine.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.